Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this innovation session on this last morning of the conference. My name is Chris Ferguson. I'm the Dean of Libraries at Murray State University, and I'll be serving as the moderator for today. So the format of the innovation session is that each of our presenters is going to get 10 minutes, and I will be timing them, so they should not go over, but each presenter will get 10 minutes. They will go in succession, and then at the end of the we have 4 presenters, and at the end of the 4th presentation, you will be able to ask questions of anyone. We ask that when you ask your question, you go to the microphone there and give your name and where you work, just so that we all know who we're talking to. So it is exactly 10:30, so I'm going to turn it over now to Mitchell Scott.
Hello, everyone. Hi. Mitchell Scott, Coordinator of Collections at Indiana University Southeast, and I'm here to talk to you. Oh, let me hit my timer. Okay, a little bit behind. That's okay. So I'm here to talk to you about a partnership that we developed with our local public library to extend collections and services to our respective communities that we saw as like a mutually beneficial partnership. So a real sort of help me, help you scenario. So we have to situate ourselves so everybody can understand where we're coming from. So a little bit about IU Southeast and Floyd County, which is the county we reside in. So IU Southeast is in New Albany, Indiana, which is right across the river from Louisville, Kentucky. IU Southeast is a regional comprehensive. We have around 3,700 FTE. We have 532 faculty, like full-time faculty and staff, so relatively small regional. Floyd County is serviced by the Floyd County Public Library, and it has a main branch, which is right where sort of New Albany is on that map, and then it has 2 other branches that are, one is a digital branch and doesn't necessarily have a collection, but you can still get like materials transited there, and another is a old Carnegie library that serves as like a gallery and a meeting space. And so both those branches reside sort of in the western side of the county, and IU Southeast is up in the like northeast side of the county. So keep that in mind as I sort of talk through this. So what we did and why we did it. So as of August 2022, the IU Southeast Library is now a full-on mini branch of the Floyd County Public Library, or satellite branch. And we provide all of the public library services through our academic library. So we have a collection that you see here, which is Floyd County Library materials that circulate at the IU Southeast Library. It's popular fiction, popular nonfictions, our leisure reading collection. You can get a public library card through us. We'll register you there. You can renew there. You can get Floyd County materials transited to us to pick up. And you can return your Floyd County materials to us to go back to Floyd County. So like all the services through us, right? So why we did this? So very selfishly, as a collections person, I was looking for someone to dump the cost of managing a leisure reading collection onto. And like, what better person than a public library to do this, right? And so, but more strategically, not just taking off the thousands of dollars that it takes to like maintain a leisure reading collection, like more strategically, like I'm sure it's within your institutional mission, your institutional strategic plan to develop community engagement, to partner with the community, right? I know it's in all of our strategic plans. It's within your HLC report, community engagement, community partnership. It's probably in your library strategic plan. It's certainly within ours. So this was one where we could like check off a strategic plan item, which is like a miracle unto itself, right? And so from the public library perspective, first they get a free branch at no overhead. They don't have to build it. They don't have to rent space. They don't have to like pay the fees to maintain it. And then what we heard from our public library colleagues was that the college-age students that are at IU Southeast are often the ones that they lose from the public library, right? They graduate high school, they go off to college, they're not public library sort of patrons, and then they'll come back eventually. And so it's sort of an untapped patron group for them, as well as the faculty and staff that work at our institution. So this is a borrowed idea. We're not that inventive or creative at IU Southeast. So I saw this idea at ALA in 2014. And Cleveland State had a collection from their public library, like you see here. And then Notre Dame does this with their local public library. And they provide services. I'm not sure if they have a collection or not. And then I heard at the conference that Ohio State does this. So there's really a model for all of you to adopt at all, sort of shapes and sizes. Okay, so how did we do it? So we got grant funding to do this. But you'll see we got $8,000 from the Caesars Foundation of Floyd County, which is our local gambling casino. So thank you, Caesars Foundation. They give out grants to the community for community projects just like this. So we got $8,000 to start this project, which, you know, the grant funding was helpful and sort of legitimized the project, but really it's not. I mean, that money wasn't. That's not that much money to start what is a pretty cool partnership, we thought. So $8,000 in total. $6,000 went to the collection itself, so it started a seed collection. It meant that our library budget and the public library budget didn't have to really seed this collection, so we had this grant funding to support it, to get it off the ground. And then $1,000 went to signage, to brand it, market it across our institution, and then $1,000 went to marketing, to get it in our local newspapers, Facebook campaigns, like to get the word out to the county, the Floyd County. So after seeding the collection, the Floyd County Library maintains that collection. That's on them. It's their money they spend on it. They buy new materials. They keep it relevant. They keep it current. They pull materials from it. We try to keep it at an approximate collection size. And then Library Labor is the other one that contributed here. So our staff are trained on 2 systems now. We have the public library system that we circulate their materials through. That's TLC. And then we have our system that we use for our materials. We receive additions, holds, returns weekly with their delivery network within the public library, so that was no extra overhead. And then we register all of our patrons through their system. We actually used our student IDs and faculty IDs as their Floyd County Library cards, so they didn't have to get extra cards. We just plop a sticker on it that says Floyd County, and that's their Floyd County Library card. Okay, so what was the impact? So we started August 2022, and so it's been a little over a year now, and it's gone over so well. This is like one of the most talked about things that the library has done within IU Southeast and then our community. We've had over 150 plus circulations from our Floyd County collection, so that's, you know, popular fiction, nonfiction going out to students, faculty, staff, community members. We've had over 220 patron registrations or renewals for Floyd County Library cards from our branch, from IU Southeast. We thought this would be the biggest service point, is returning books to us to get sent back to the library, because there's no branch in our corner, and that's certainly been the case. We've had over 2,100 books returned to us that we then transit back to Floyd County. And then we've had over 350 books requested and held at our library for our patrons. So we've actually become like the main branch for a lot of our community patrons now. And so they really enjoy having this opportunity to access these services in their corner of the county. And we've moved sort of from collections and services, and now we're thinking more about programming, right? So like that complete integration. We ran summer reading at our library this summer. Just you could pick up the materials there. We didn't do any programming as of yet, but then we've partnered on Pride Week programming. They reach out to us now when they're developing programming for the community, and then we have like a sort of list of faculty that we hit to see if we can, you know, get some faculty volunteers to sit on their panels, and that provides faculty service within their community and for P&T. And so there's really a lot of connections that you can make once you like develop this sort of partnership with your public library. That's it. I went fast. So, all right, thanks. Yeah.
Do you want me to close that?
I know
you went. It's awesome. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Erica Boardman, and I am the Electronic Resources Management Librarian at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. I was also a beta tester during the Get FTR browser extension release. So I'm going to give a brief rundown on some of the reasons why I think it's really beneficial to get our researchers on board. But I did send out a poll over Whova, and there was a good amount of you that maybe don't know what that is, have never used it. So without further ado, let's introduce it first. It stands for Get Full Text Research, and it's a service that integrates into discovery services and streamlines the research process from the point that a researcher discovers it into the point of they accessing it. That's a mouthful. That's the way they explained it. So I guess in hindsight, as they're searching through on like Google Scholar or PubMed, it helps make them identify and quickly access the research that they're entitled to, whether it's a subscription or it's open access. How does it do that? It has a little cute indicator that pops up. It'll say view PDF, and they can select it, and it automatically takes them to the publisher's page where they can access the full text. And that's just the overarching service. The extension is an additional tool that gives more control in the hands of the users. So they will input it on their browser, and they can decide which discovery services they actually want to use it for. It will mark for journal and book content, and they're continuously expanding upon this idea. So they do love getting more feedback in case anyone else also would like to participate. And sorry, the screenshots are not super big, but first thing is that it's free to use, and the setup is very quick and easy. I think from my experience talking with faculty and students, they don't have a lot of time on their hands, and they also don't prefer to try to enable a service themselves. Like, they want things instantly ready and available so they can do their work. But because this takes less than a minute and a half, less than 2 minutes for them to enable themselves and install, I think it can be very appealing and a good highlight mark for librarians and institutions to make the case that this is going to be very beneficial for them. And for librarians, it doesn't require any manual work. We don't need to go in and configure anything. It works with our identity providers. So if you do have Open Athens or you're part of a federation, it's just seamlessly integrated. They'll install the browser extension, they'll select their institutions, and they can also select multiple. So if they're affiliated with multiple institutions, they can do that. They can choose the discovery services they want, and then they just go in and search. And it's set to go. And this is a screenshot of where they would be able to select the discovery websites. These are obviously the screenshot's a bit too small for that, but they can turn them on and off. They can keep them enabled, and they can also delete institutions later on. Number 2 is that it alerts researchers again to available content. That's the View PDF button in Google Scholar and also in Web of Science. You can hover over it and you can see if it's like where it's coming from, how it's accessible. It works at the DOI level, so it just kind of quickly checks real-time information with publishers' entitlements and what your institution has, and this helps us get more value out of our subscriptions for the users that do want to use Google Scholar more often than the library catalog, which we do all have users who prefer that. And it kind of just helps them in their research process without us having to change their user behavior. We don't need to try and teach them how to use anything else. They just can keep doing what they do best, which is research. One-click access, as I mentioned, it's clickable. They just got to click on the button and it just links them out immediately. It's very fast. Researchers often navigate to our publisher websites. I can't count how many times someone goes to Sage and puts in a ticket because they can't access something even though they logged in. And it's because we don't actually have access to that content. This will at least signal to them what they can access on the search results page. They don't need to keep doing the click and pray method or trying to go through tons of search results and just browsing through articles. They'll just know automatically. It streamlines access to the latest research. So if something has been updated or it's an article has had additional content added, it's supposed to work by getting you to the version of the record, the most current access for it. We also sometimes, of course, come across articles that aren't properly distributed under copyright, and this also ensures that they're not going through services that don't have the proper affiliations or distributions for it. Like it works with smart links, and it also just works with our publishers that we know we can trust. And in development on the pages, they're trying to now currently work with adding notices if something's been redacted or if there's updates. And they are going to be sending out information at some point if you subscribe to their newsletter. Since we're all talking about open access at this conference, it includes open access and freely available content, so it will work with hybrid journal content as well. This goes back to the whole hovering over it. It'll tell you if it's free or if it's subscription-based, fully available, etc. So even like your community users that just go to your library and they are not affiliated, they install it in their browser extension. They don't need to select an affiliation for it to work. They can at least just see all the open access content. And I also liked it because I thought this could go onto our guest computers as well, in our library at least, so that way they can also see it without needing to be totally, UNC Charlotte affiliated. And it kind of also, in a way, kind of pushes us more towards getting open access research disseminated, whether it's our own researchers' research that they're doing or being able to discover more. And it feels that it can just kind of keep pushing on those supports. Works with popular discovery tools. I tried to get all of them. I am missing general Google search because now you can just search regular Google and it actually does work with it. I've seen it pop up a couple times. Ex Libris Primo and the general Google search are the newest ones. It did just start mostly from my experience when I tested with PubMed, Google Scholar, and Web of Science, but they are continuously again growing. And Safari is in development. I wouldn't put it past it if it was available within the next 4 months. They're very fast with updates. And I think they're supposed to be trying to do a little bit more possible integration with other services. I know they're trying to do a lot of outreach. So this is not all inclusive. Unless it is, then that's fantastic. But I'm fairly certain I'm missing something. But it's available through a lot of our reputable, high-quality publishers that we trust, a lot of the vendors we like, and I love that it works with smaller publishers as well, because they often do get forgotten about, but they try to recruit them and try to work with them. As of recent, Cabby and Edward Elgar and, where in the world is it? Royal College of Surgeons of England are the most recent ones. And again, they are continuously adding more and more publishers. They're continuously getting more people who want to participate. At first, during the beta testing, it was sometimes a lot of things would pop up on Google Scholar, and I'm like, I know we have access to this. Why isn't it giving me the indicator? But it's because a lot of folks were still getting integrated into this. And you can even help promote this to your own vendors, reps, if you'd like. They're very responsive. And finally, and I made this reason up, the FTR helped make the other reasons with me, but this was the one I kind of threw in there because it's made with the end users and the librarians in mind. From the end user perspective, it respects user privacy. They do not track personal sensitive data on their part, and they have to get the publishers that participate to agree as well. They cannot do that. I had them send me a chart of the usage for hours, and it was just a very basic triangle. There was not really a whole lot of info, but it was still really good to know. And it helps that we're not trying to change how our users search. We don't want to make things complicated for them. And this just supplements their already existing process that they have. And they have great customer service. So for me, I am very serious about my customer service. It makes or break anything. I'm always able to collaborate with the product director. She's always open to feedback. And their advisory board includes librarians, publishers, and vendors to make sure that they're getting that full representation and the full perspective of what needs to be done for us. And they have great promotional and resources available for you to promote as well to your campus or try to get your faculty involved. And how can we help? Well, try it out for yourselves. It is so much fun. I have it just now enabled in Primo, and it's kind of fun to see it pop up. I'm still experimenting with how it really works for that. But it's really fun to see what will pop up, how it works, how fast it works. Try to encourage publishers to participate with it. And also promote it to your researchers. I'm currently still trying to pick a great time during the school year to work with my subject librarians to do it because it is very busy. And they're the ones that do all that outreach, but I know they have some instruction sessions that they could kind of try to interweave this into. And if you have any questions, there is a contact form. You can also contact Diane, who is the product director, and she's very responsive. You can try to figure out how to get involved. And I might be able to answer some other technical possible questions, but do not quote me, but you are welcome to contact me anyway. And that's all I got. Thank you.
All right. Muscle. So I did a poll for this session just saying what was holding you back from using open source software. And of course, the biggest thing was I don't have the IT or I don't have the knowledge. So the presentation today is talking about how me and my fellow pal, Jill Morris from Pal C, and I'm Kirsten Leonard from Pal Me, have partnered together to be able to address those challenges and how you guys can too. So we've got a quick plan about how to do that. So I'm not going to go through these points just now, but these are our strength regimen for building up your open scholarly communications infrastructure. And our example here is with Haiku, which is an institutional repository. And the fitness plan for success in this begins, this is really critical, begins with aligning libraries and partner consortia in a shared vision, mission, and values for the project. Agree in advance what it is that you're trying to do and what are the parameters for that. And so this is the one for our particular project. These documents have been so key in multiple stages of the process for making decisions, keeping our focus, helping us articulate the scope of our project to potential library users, and to set appropriate expectations going into this collaboration repository. Our mission is to make IRs accessible to institutions that lack funding for the staff to run their own, that it's flexible, but low cost and easy to use. So that's the encapsulation of what we were trying to do. It's also intentionally collaborative in structure, both to share the platform, but also the community of librarian expertise to actually use the IR, which is another one of the things that were expressed in the poll is actually where the challenge is. We're working together to do more, cheaper, and better than one library or even one consortia can do alone. And we are equal partners, amplifying the voices of our libraries to meet our needs. So here are the PALs. The key point, even small libraries, and all 24 of my libraries are under 5,000 FTE. Several of them are under 100 FTE. So we are quite small. PAL-C has much more of a spread and has some R1s in there. But some of the key expertise that we all brought to the table, we just really complemented each other very well. In my case, PALNI is embarking on deep collaboration, has been for 8 years now. I think we've had a commitment to this. So this vision of sharing staff to run the thing, not just the technology to share, was my bring to this. Jill Morris had extensive experience in IMLS grants, large-scale project management, corralling all of the cats in many different ways. Amanda was our metadata and scholarly communications expert. And she's our product owner, so she also keeps us attuned to the documents that we have in play. Nick has been critical to our success. Nick is a coordinator for PALNI who works part-time in Anderson University. He is both a user for Anderson University of the repository as well as our person that helps other institutions use Haiku. So he's not going to just talk it up and say, oh, this thing is awesome, right? He's using it himself, and he's better able to articulate needs back to our development partner to get it done. Carl is the community manager, so again, making sure that we are amplifying the voices of all of the users and setting priorities, and there's many others in this space too. And then some additional, even more friends. There are even more friends out there. You don't have to stop there. Haiku is part of the Samvera community. If you're not aware of them, please go to that site, samvera.org. We also put a handout, both of this project and the Samvera space on the event. And software services by scientists.com. You don't have IT staff? They'll do it for you. They'll do what you need, only as much as you need, and you can do what you want to do to that. So it's been very key to this. Viva Consortium has worked alongside us to figure out how to scale it. We've got 5, I think, on board from them. Boston Library Consortium is partnering with us to develop controlled digital lending functionality and connectivity to reshare between that and Haiku. So they've been very successful as well. So I think, one last one. So nutrition. What is the nutrition? Well, we all know money matters, right? So working together, we were able to get some pretty significant funding. I think we're almost $500,000, I think, from IMLS over 2 grant cycles. And we trade off who gets to manage the grant. So that's been very, very critical, in addition to the resources that we all bring together. So with that, I'll hand it over to Jill.
All right, so working our way down through our strength training regimen and bringing up an institutional repository that is truly a joint service between our 2 consortia offered out to our institutions. Following along on the nutritional aspects, we felt really strongly that we needed to leverage our user community and harness our unique strengths of each of our consortia that we were bringing to the table. So we do have a Haiku Commons user community, and the whole point behind sort of the work that we've done together in building this user community was really about identifying the gaps that we had in our current repository solutions and within the solution that we were developing, Deduplication of effort is huge. As you know, you go to consortia to optimize what you're doing, and that was happening on an even grander scale when PALC was able to partner up with PALNI to offer this out in that way. We also built up a user community to encourage the sharing of solutions across institutions, and this is one of the coolest aspects, I think, of this project, is seeing the individual folks from institutions supporting each other. So in addition to the support that they get from Nick, who you saw on the previous slide, they are also boosting each other up, sharing expertise, asking questions together, and able to learn from each other. We've done a couple of different surveys to help our user community help dictate what it is that we work on next with this solution. So we not only built out a repository that was already a multi-tenant solution and really scalable for affordability sake, but we are also working with them to develop features and functionality, and we hosted 2 different surveys that help to inform our development sprints over time. At present, we have about 50 repositories stood up, and about 20 of them are public at this point. We have a website called haikucommons.org. That's sort of the overarching service. Up on the screen, you can see an image with some logos that are just some of our public repositories that are up there right now. And then in addition to that, we've partnered with other consortia too, so Viva and Lewis, and have been able to start offering services to other consortia to leverage the thing we're already doing. Kirsten mentioned we're also partnered up with BLC and offering a pilot CDL repository that integrates with Project Reshare. So we're very excited about all of the potential applications and use cases for what is a repository that just really has many interesting ways of being applied to the challenges we're facing. We've developed this user community and given them the tools to talk to each other. So we have a Haiku Commons Basecamp instance that allows them to join, to follow along on a message board, to ask each other questions, to share documentation, and then we also share that back up with the community overall. But in general, our community has just been really, really positive and very satisfied with the level of support that they get, even though we are just two small consortia with not that many staff. So these are just some examples of the types of development efforts that we've done over time that were prioritized by our community: metadata work, workflow work in Haiku, and front-end development sprints that allow our users to have what they need out of this set of tools. In addition, we've launched a service to each of our institutions. We do this on a cost recovery basis and have developed a business model that's very transparent to anybody that uses it. This is, again, we've approached this in a really new way, a joint service offering to our individual libraries and to our other partners. The initial term of service was 2 years. It started in July. We are continuing to work with SoftServe to continue working on development. And then there's an iterative feedback process, and this is part of that strength training regimen, is continually assessing, making sure we're making changes to meet the needs of our users, and especially around this cost recovery model that we've developed, making sure that it's fair and equitable spread of costs across our 2 groups. So we are really working cross-consortially in some really interesting ways. We've developed a toolkit, and we would encourage you to check this out. It's on haikuforconsortia.org. And we have a fabulous group, and Kirsten has a wonderful marketing person who has helped us design this to allow you to go through the process of asking questions of your group of institutions, considerations that you might want to talk about if you are interested in setting up a similar kind of collaboration, everything from governance and documentation and staffing and service model to launching a service technically. What does that look like? So I really want to highlight this because this is where we have all of what we've learned, more than what we can say today, and we want to encourage you to use it if you're interested in this. And that is it for us. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Zoe Wake-Hyde and I'm the Community Development Manager for Humanities Commons, which is based at Michigan State University and is a collaboration between MSU Libraries and the College of Arts and Letters. Humanities Commons is a platform for researchers, educators and learners, both within and outside of the academy, to come together, share their work and build community. Right now, we mostly serve the humanities, the clue is in the name, but we're expanding into additional disciplines, starting with an NSF-funded project to launch a STEM Education Research Commons. Today I'm going to talk to you about a very trendy technology that's been getting some attention recently and yet is somehow not generative AI. So instead I'm going to be talking about the Fediverse and the ActivityPub protocol that enables it. But first, some context. And turning my alarm off. For many years, it's been clear that our current scholarly communication infrastructure does not serve a free and open knowledge ecosystem. Platformization and enclosure, as well as competition and extractive market practices, have created high barriers to participation and impeded the ability of researchers and educators to positively impact the world around them. Retrofitting openness into such systems, designed for the exact opposite, can only ever take us so far. In parallel, similar forces have shaped and distorted networks of exchange on the web at large, most evident in the evolution of social networks into advertising and surveillance machines, and the acquisition of the social network formerly known as Twitter demonstrates the risk of having too much power in too few hands. But it hasn't always been this way, and it doesn't have to be this way. The internet was founded as a network for sharing information between researchers. It's morphed into something far greater in some ways, but also far more terrifying in others. Anyone without a vested interest in making money off the web as it exists today can see that it's not reaching its potential, and plenty of people are thinking about how to make things better and hopefully also less creepy with the surveillance. And so one trend in this direction is heading towards decentralization and federation as a philosophy and a technical approach to better distribute power and foster a different kind of online ecosystem, which we in scholarly communication can learn from. Back to Humanities Commons. We were developed initially as a response to the challenges specific to scholarly communication. We provide an alternative pathway for scholars to interact and share their work, driven by an open ethos and supported by open technologies. Our system offers users the ability to create and maintain their digital presence with a profile, websites, community and collaborative spaces, and an open access repository that issues DOIs. We also offer institutional commonses where members of a particular organization can interact with each other in a space that they manage and with the wider community on the Commons network as a whole. We have plenty in the works. We're constantly in development. We have a major update to our repository coming early next year. But as we're considering the future of our work and our vision for the future of knowledge creation and dissemination that we share with many people here at Charleston working on similar initiatives, we are faced with the question of how to build something truly revolutionary. Enter the Fediverse. If you've been following the ongoing issues at Twitter and the move many have made to Mastodon, you might be familiar with the term. But if not, the Fediverse refers to an expanding ecosystem of interconnected sites and services that let people interact with each other, no matter which of these sites they belong to. That means that people can tailor and better control their experiences of online communities and social media and be less reliant on the monoculture of the tech giants. Advocates say that it has the potential to help rewire the entire social fabric of the internet, which is pretty cool. So at Humanities Commons, we've decided to undertake a major rebuild of our platform and create a federated open commons infrastructure. This involves moving from our current setup, where the commons exists on an extensively customized WordPress multi-site instance, to a network of multiple instances that interact with each other via the ActivityPub protocol, which is the technology that allows any tool with a social interactive component to become interoperable with others that do the same things. So ActivityPub essentially allows messages, posts, and notifications to be passed between systems, separate from any specific user interface, much like how email can be sent between systems regardless of whether any individual is using Gmail, Outlook, or another email client. And the messages being passed can be any form of activity. So it can be a classic direct message from user to user, but it can also be a notification that a publication in a repository has been updated with a new version. It can look like a notice of retraction. It could be an upcoming call for proposals or a review being posted for something that's already been published. All of these things are what characterizes a vibrant, living information ecosystem. So this network structure, this federated network structure, will allow individual instances on the commons to be operated independently so that an institutional group could launch their own commons with or without our assistance and join the network. The customizations made to an instance would be up to the users and administrators, whether that's setting the primary language, licensing policies, or a particular set of features that they do or don't want enabled. And through this work, we're also committed to becoming more modular so that eventually each of these network nodes could have a different repository software running, perhaps, or connect into a publishing platform that they're already using, like OGS or Manifold. Think of it like a commons of one's own. It offers stability, safety, and self-determination. But that commons of your own is also part of an interdependent community of others seeking the same things you are. It offers a space small enough to wrap your head around as an individual user or a manager of that space, and yet is still connected into an expansive network of knowledge creation and dissemination. From your home commons, you'll be able to make your work discoverable to every other commons user, and theirs can be brought to you. Our job then becomes to ensure that users have the tools they need to navigate through that network and find the people and resources most relevant to them. And to keep the whole thing functioning well, of course. Infrastructure becomes very visible when it's broken, so we want to keep it invisible and functional. While we truly see this as a better way to operate, it will also make managing the network more sustainable for us. We're a very small team, and we don't have ambitions to grow into a large company. We'll continue to offer hosting options, as well as support and training, and maintain the central code base, but the hope is that maintaining a network of largely self-managed commons nodes is more achievable than trying to build a single massive platform with millions of users. We also think this approach will make organizations more confident in joining the network because they retain control over their data and decision-making. So where the model of the commons provides solutions to the challenges of closed academic systems, the federated approach offers a new dynamic for social interaction, governance, and growth. A federated open commons promises fundamental change to who participates in the creation and dissemination of knowledge, how they are able to do so, and where the power in those relationships lies. We're excited to see what other innovations emerge as ActivityPub catches on further, and we'd love to see more actors in the scholarly communication space consider how a decentralized model powered by ActivityPub might offer something to their work and connect them into this growing larger constellation of the Fediverse. If you want to be a part of the work that I've laid out here, get in touch, come speak with me, and we can talk about the possibility of setting up your own common site for your organization. Once we have a few people on board, we're going to be launching a pilot that means you'll get to be in on the ground floor and help us develop these systems to meet your very real needs. You can also support the Commons by becoming a sustaining member. This gives you the chance to participate in our governing council, and it helps fund our development heading in this new direction. Again, get in touch with me. I'll talk you through the process. My details are up here. Oh, and my formatting is terrible. I apologize. That will haunt me. But if I've sparked any ideas or questions, my details are here. hcommons.social is the Mastodon server that Humanities Commons runs. I can talk to you about what that looks like, what it might, how it might be useful for you if you're interested in learning more about this. And I've recommended a few readings here as well. The first two from our tech lead, who's leading the way on our development, and the others as a kind of introduction to the Fediverse. I really recommend spending some time getting familiar with the federated approach and ActivityPub if you're interested in interoperability. There's a lot of promise there, and we see it as a really exciting time. Thank you.
thank you to all of you. This is the opportunity we have. Lots of time, I think, for questions. So this is the audience's time to ask questions. Anyone?